Things elude our attention, stories are yet to be discovered, truths are rarely obscured. You are introduced to the secret of.
What if I told you that the fear of death controls more of your life than you realize? Imagine for a moment that this fear is not just a fleeting thought, but a silent force guiding your every step. It's there when you hesitate before taking a risk, when you cling to comfort, and even when you reach for your dreams. The fear of death is not always obvious, but it is ever present, shaping the very fabric of our existence. It might sound like a bold claim, but consider this. Every choice you make, every belief you hold, even the way you love and work, is touched by this primal fear. It's woven into the decisions you make at crossroads in life. Should you take that new job, move to a new city, start a family? Underneath these questions, there's often a deeper, unspoken concern. How can I make my life matter? How can I stay safe, secure, and remembered? It lurks in the shadows of our minds, shaping our desires, ambitions, and anxieties. Sometimes it's the quiet voice that urges us to play it safe, to avoid the unknown, or to seek out comfort in routine. Other times, it's the restless energy that pushes us to achieve more, to leave a mark, to prove that our lives have meaning. We chase success, crave security, and cling to relationships, often driven by an unconscious need to outrun our mortality. We work late into the night, hoping our efforts will grant us a legacy. We hold our loved ones close, fearing the day we might lose them, or they might lose us. Even our pursuit of happiness is, in many ways, a pursuit of reassurance against the unknown. This fear, while universal, is often misunderstood. It doesn't always announce itself as terror or panic. Sometimes it's a subtle unease, a background hum that colors our moods and decisions. It's a thread that runs through every culture, every age, every walk of life. We mistake it for something else, the fear of aging, the fear of the unknown, the fear of leaving loved ones behind. We see it in the lines on our faces, in the quiet moments of reflection, in the longing to hold on to memories. But beneath these fears lies a single powerful truth. We are all aware deep down that our time is limited. But at its core, it's the fear of our own annihilation that whispers in our ears. It's the shadow that follows us, the silent companion to our joys and sorrows. It can make us anxious, but it can also make us cherish what we have, urging us to live more fully. This essay will delve into the nature of this fear, exploring its evolutionary roots, its cultural expressions, and the psychological mechanisms we use to cope with it. From ancient burial rituals to modern science, from philosophy to psychology, humanity has always sought ways to understand and manage this fear. We'll look at how different societies have tried to make sense of mortality, and how our brains are wired to both fear and deny the end. There is a certain liberation that comes from confronting our mortality. When we face the reality of our finite existence, we can begin to let go of the anxieties that hold us back. We can find peace in the present moment and a deeper appreciation for the beauty and fragility of life. By understanding the nature of this fear, we can begin to loosen its grip on our lives. We can break free from the invisible chains that keep us from taking risks, loving deeply, or pursuing our passions. Knowledge becomes a tool for liberation, helping us to see fear not as an enemy, but as a guide. We can start to live more authentically, savor the present moment, and find meaning in the face of our inevitable end. In embracing our mortality, we discover what it truly means to be alive, and that perhaps is the greatest freedom of all. To truly understand our deep-rooted fear of death, we need to journey back through time and examine our evolutionary origins. Our story begins with early humans, living in a world filled with uncertainty and danger, where every day was a struggle to survive. Survival is the most fundamental instinct of any living organism, and humans are no exception. From the tiniest insect to the largest mammal, every creature is driven by the urge to stay alive and avoid harm. For our ancestors, this meant constantly being alert to the dangers lurking in their environment. Over countless generations, our ancestors faced a relentless barrage of threats, predators stalking them in the shadows, natural disasters striking without warning, and the ever-present risk of starvation. Each challenge tested their ability to adapt and survive. Those who were wired to respond to these threats with fear and caution were far more likely to survive and pass on their genes. Fear became a vital tool, sharpening the senses and prompting quick decisions in the face of danger. This fight or flight response, hardwired into our nervous system, is a powerful survival mechanism. It readies our bodies to either confront a threat head-on or escape to safety, often in a split second. When we perceive danger, our bodies flood with adrenaline, our hearts race, and our muscles tense, all preparing us to act decisively. This ancient response has helped humans survive countless life or death situations throughout history. While this response is essential for survival in the face of immediate physical danger, our minds have evolved to perceive threats in a much broader sense. Today, our ancient wiring still shapes how we react, not just to physical threats, but to social, emotional, and existential fears, including our fear of death itself. Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of worrying about abstract concepts like aging or illness. Their fears were immediate and visceral. But our modern minds, while capable of grasping complex ideas, are still bound by the same primal instincts. We've simply learned to fear different things. Aging, with its promise of physical decline and eventual death, becomes a source of anxiety. Illness, even the mere thought of it, triggers our fight or flight response. We fear the loss of our loved ones, for their absence represents a tear in the fabric of our own existence. Our minds, constantly scanning for threats, find them everywhere, even in the very things that make us human: our relationships, our bodies, our finite time on this earth. While the fear of death is universal, the ways in which we understand and cope with it are profoundly shaped by our culture and beliefs. Throughout history, religions and spiritual traditions have grappled with the mysteries of life and death, offering a wide range of perspectives on what lies beyond. Some cultures view death as a terrifying end, a descent into oblivion. Others embrace it as a natural transition, a passage into another realm of existence. These beliefs, passed down through generations, become deeply ingrained in our psyche, influencing our relationship with mortality. In the 20th century, psychologists introduced the concept of terror management theory to explain how we cope with the anxiety of our own mortality. This theory suggests that we develop elaborate psychological defenses to shield ourselves from the terror of death. These defenses often manifest as a desperate need to find meaning and value in the world. We immerse ourselves in work, accumulate possessions, and strive for success, all in an attempt to create a sense of permanence in a world that constantly reminds us of our impermanence. We distract ourselves with entertainment, social media, and mindless pursuits. Anything, really, to avoid confronting the uncomfortable truth of our own mortality. Our fear of death is also deeply intertwined with our sense of self, our ego. We spend our lives constructing an identity, a narrative of who we are in the world. The thought of death, of our entire being ceasing to exist, threatens this carefully constructed self-image. It represents the ultimate loss of control, the unraveling of everything we've worked so hard to build. This fear of ego death can manifest in different ways. We might become overly attached to our possessions, our achievements, or our social status, seeing them as extensions of ourselves. We might cling to rigid beliefs or worldviews, finding comfort in certainty and order in the face of the ultimate unknown. While the fear of death is a natural human instinct, it doesn't have to control our lives. By facing this fear head-on, by acknowledging its presence and exploring its roots, we can begin to loosen its grip and live more fully in the present moment. Mindfulness practices, for example, can help us become more aware of our thoughts and feelings, including those related to death anxiety. By learning to observe these thoughts without judgment, we can begin to detach from them and find a sense of peace in the present moment. Throughout history, philosophers and spiritual teachers have offered insights into the nature of death and how to live a meaningful life in its shadow. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, for example, wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This powerful reminder encourages us to live each day as if it were our last, to focus on what truly matters and let go of petty concerns. The Sufi mystic Rumi offered a different perspective, writing, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." Rumi's words remind us that death is not an end but a transformation, a part of the natural cycle of life and death that permeates all things. The fear of death, while deeply ingrained in our psyche, is not an insurmountable obstacle. For many of us, this fear shapes our choices, our relationships, and even the way we view the world. It can feel overwhelming, casting a shadow over moments of joy and making us hesitant to truly embrace life. But what if, instead of letting this fear control us, we learn to face it with curiosity and compassion? By understanding its origins, acknowledging its presence in our lives, and exploring the wisdom of those who have come before us, we can begin to relate to death in a healthier, more constructive way. Across cultures and generations, people have sought meaning in the face of mortality, sharing stories and insights that help us navigate this universal experience. When we listen to these voices, we realize we are not alone in our questions or our fears. Remember, it's not about denying death or wishing it away. It's about recognizing that death is a natural part of the human journey, and that our awareness of it can actually enrich our lives. When we allow ourselves to sit with our discomfort, to look at our fears honestly, we open the door to greater understanding and acceptance. It's about accepting its inevitability and using that acceptance to fuel a more meaningful and fulfilling life. When we stop running from the reality of our own mortality, we can start to appreciate the beauty in each moment, the value of our connections, and the importance of living authentically. As the saying goes, death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. Just as the changing seasons remind us of the cycles of nature, our own lives are marked by beginnings and endings, joys and sorrows. Embracing this truth can help us find peace, even in the face of uncertainty. By embracing this truth, we can begin to live more fully, love more deeply, and die more peacefully. We can cherish the time we have, celebrate the people we care about, and make choices that reflect our deepest values. In doing so, we transform our relationship with both life and death. What would you do differently if you weren't afraid to die? Would you take more risks, travel to new places, or finally pursue that passion you've been putting off? Would you let go of grudges, or tell someone how much they mean to you? Take a moment to reflect on this question. Imagine how your days might change if you approached each one with a sense of gratitude and wonder rather than fear. What new possibilities might open up for you? How would your priorities change? Would you focus more on experiences than possessions, on relationships rather than achievements? Perhaps you'd spend more time with loved ones, or finally start that creative project you've been dreaming about. What dreams would you pursue? What adventures would you embark on, knowing that every moment is precious and fleeting? The awareness of our mortality can be a powerful motivator to live with intention and courage. What conversations would you have? Would you reach out to someone you've lost touch with, or share your true feelings with those closest to you? Honest conversations can bring healing, connection, and a sense of closure. The answers might surprise you. When we confront our fears and reflect on what truly matters, we often discover a deeper sense of purpose and a renewed zest for life. In the end, living fully and dying peacefully are two sides of the same coin, a journey of courage, acceptance, and love.